Alright, I couldn't continue this story earlier. Things got pretty bad fast. Apologies for this delay, but as you will see, I have good reasons. I believe that a stolen laptop was reported, and of course, I was the primal suspect. Well, I was convinced that I was, when I got a very intensive interrogation, a broken nose. But I didn't speak. I had begun to unwillingly work for this falsely titled company, even before I managed to document the events that led me to become from paid employee to slave. I will not bore you with the scientific details since then. They got me to work right from the start. They were monitoring my every move as I was mixing and analyzing. I had one thing going for me, however. I had made the discovery of how junk DNA rejected compound O, all by myself. Even if my captors knew what was going on in general, they couldn't really understand all my calculations and data outputs. I got to enjoy their frustration. Although I paid for it. Sometimes even with violence. They were careful, I have to say. I was important to them, so they wouldn't break me. They did, however, make me suffer. I wanted to fight, but I knew it was pointless. You see, before there were only other scientists in the lab where I was working. Now, there were always 2 armed guards or so. No, my fight was more subtle. Whenever I could, I would secretly mess up the experiments. I would mingle with a dosage of compound O and inject a G-mon. I would make a mistake in analyzing or mess up the data. At this point, I am humbled to say that in that part, I didn't do much. Junk DNA was always ahead of me, even if I had no chance to ruin the experiments. The frustration of all those around me. Junk DNA was so well equipped to fight any forced mutation that failure was almost inescapable. Never in my life had I been so happy to see my attempts to get results fail. My true happiness came every time Dr. Andrews came to personally check on me. I could see the anger in his eyes, his impatience, the shameful actions. That was my only proud moment. Whenever he was demanding answers, I would just stare at him, as calm as I could, looking fearless. I never let him know how truly scared I was inside. I was afraid of getting beaten. I was afraid of never seeing the sunlight again. But as I came to work for these people, I came to fear more than anything else. What could happen in my case? My experiment succeeded. He never yelled. He was always polite. It felt like he was cutting my flesh with a butter knife. Slow as time itself. He never hit me. Although there was always one of his minions who would happily do it, especially when I talked against him or his plans. I couldn't let him know I was starting to crack under his pressure, then my defeat would be complete. No, I would remain unbroken, at least on the outside, because inside of me I was breaking day by day. Because if I was to die in this shithole, I would die a hero. This is when the things started to go even worse for me. It turned out that these people had absolutely no care in the world for scientific applications of findings. The more time I spent there, the more I learned about their true purpose. In my mind, it didn't make any sense. They wanted to make a being, mostly originated from human DNA, but with capabilities of wild animals, such as regeneration, hunting instincts, and strength. But that would be a sample movie villain. These guys wanted to make a creature that would be able to adapt and evolve constantly. I had no idea how this would even be possible, but Dr. Andrews, in many of his regular attempts to destroy my spirit, made sure I knew that they were working on it in other departments, and once I had finally given some good results, everything would be put into place. And thus, I was forced to the human experiments. They really wanted to push this from the start, but of course they knew it would be a waste. Things changed when I unfortunately managed to find a way to trick junk DNA by adding a decoy genome and then use the desired one. Simple in theory, but took a lot of precision and accuracy to work. Bravo for me for being so meticulous, I guess. The thing worked, but most of the times it was temporarily. However, if some parameters were met, I could apply. At this point, I was using human cell colonies, or some organic tissue. I will never forget that visit from Dr. Andrews. He was smiling, like when we first met, but now I wanted to hit him, right in his straight white teeth. "Ah, you figured it out," he said. But from his face, I could tell he was more proud of himself than my job. "I knew you'd get it eventually." I didn't just get it, it's just 20% of the samples, and in very, very specific conditions. I need further testing in order to... "Do you think I do not realize what you have been doing, you little piece of shit?" he said, almost spitting his words. "Do you think I'm stupid? It's obvious that you're stalling the process in order to save your close-minded idea of freedom and survival. I can't blame you. I would do the same if I had somebody on top of my head." He was calm again now. "My friends, you need to see beyond the veil. We are doing this for humanity, because we truly care. I would have eliminated you by now, but I have to be honest. I really admire your mental capability, even if you are a rebellious one. But you need to know this. No stalling will ever stop us from achieving our goals." His words could have been covered with honey, but I wouldn't bite. "I'm not stalling," I answered firmly. "Junk DNA does what it is supposed to do. You are going against nature, and she is striking back. And she will keep doing that. The harder you try to defy her, you are all cultists, and you will be judged as that. When people know what you have been doing here." "Fuck you all," I said, immediately regretting expression of anger once more. And then he punched me. I felt one of my teeth leaving its gum, and the taste of iron filled my mouth. I spat a tooth at his feet. "Take him away," he said, and his previous smile had turned into a mask of anger. "Starting tomorrow, you are proceeding with the human experiments. He will do them firsthand." Through the physical pain and through the anguish of what the human experiments would mean, I managed to smile. I had made him lose his composure. I had finally won a small battle for myself, and he knew it. My joy wouldn't last forever. Next day as scheduled, starting what I can only describe as the worst period of my life. I was giving living people to inject with the compound O and the desired genomes to complete the mutations. I had to do the injections myself. I really don't want to describe the horrors I saw, but I feel like I have to at least mention them. It makes me sick to think about it. But I have never forgot these poor people I killed. I saw things that no human should see. I witnessed crying men having all their skin dissolved into liquid, screaming women as their blood was expelled from their skin while their entire body was trying to fight a disease I was enforcing on them. Old people, confused as to why they had to suffer so much. These people had all been abducted or bought from some shady places, but they were all completely terrified, and they saw me as the executioner. I tried to confront them in the final moments, but they would keep looking at me. Fear, anger, hate. I cried like a small child as I was giving them the injections. Some of them understood. Then they collapsed to the ground, screaming in pain, while even some of the guards were throwing up from what they were seeing. You see, the problem is that many days had passed, and the people that were working around me had gotten familiar with my sampling, calculations, and analyzing process. I couldn't fool anyone anymore. They now knew my routine and how everything should work. I had to play by the books. So I did the only thing I had left. I prayed. I prayed every day, every injection I gave, every person I killed. I begged God that His beautiful creations were perfect as He intended. I was wrong. Today, one of the subjects didn't scream, didn't have his eyes roll back, no saliva foam from the mouth. He was a young guy from Latin America, no more than 20 years old. He was confused and couldn't understand why. After taking notes for his case, I just fell on my knees and cried like I never cried before. Dr. Andrews was immediately summoned. He had the audacity to grab me by the shoulder like a good old friend. While I was still kneeling, I removed his hand as fast as I could. But he was way too ecstatic to care for this. Without even referring to me, he congratulated everyone, then took the young man away. As I was being escorted to my room, I heard his short, disgusting speech. "This is a new dawn for mankind. The one will finally rise." A few hours had passed. Then, while trying to rest in my room and figure out what I could do to ruin their plans, I heard the loudest bang I could ever imagine. Then, alarms started sounding everywhere, and I was lucky enough that, as a security protocol, all bedroom doors were unlocked. I ran down the male hall, where I saw absolute mayhem. Men were thrown around like sacks of potatoes, and the sound of bone crushing on the walls was chilling. In the middle of this destruction stood an abomination of 3 times the one I had seen previously, and causing all of this catastrophe by itself. The metallic glow was there again, although this time it looked more like it had a shape, or to be onset, many shapes. I knew what it was, when for one instant I saw the face from the young boy I had injected earlier today. The monstrosity was hideous and was rapidly gaining and losing features of all the things I had mixed in it. A starfish's regeneration abilities, the fury of brown bear and more, things that should never be put together in one being. It was behaving strangely, It chose to attack some people and break them, like they were toys, but it also consumed some whole, absorbing them in its semi-liquid mass. It was surely a sight of nightmares. I guess they wanted it to be intelligent, but something went completely south, and were left with a thing that was only meant to destroy. Some tried to flee, some embraced their proclaimed God. No one was spared. I was left looking from afar, around 20 meters away, as I hadn't been spotted. That was good, because my legs had frozen in place, and I would not be able to run, just stare deaf what came from me. Then I saw him, Dr. Andrews. He was standing amidst in all the chaos, smiling at his work. I yelled at him to get out of there. He told me to go and embrace the one, as I was meant to do. At this time, my fight or flight worked and tried to run away and escape this madness. I felt a sharp pain in my stomach. I turned around and saw Dr. Andrews. The bastard had shot me. He smirked towards me and yelled, "Finally I get to do this. Damn, it feels so great. I wish I had done it earlier. Now, you can't escape your destiny. From our destiny." The creature was now next to him. He looked at it and smiled. He opened his arms, ready to accept his God and unite with him as he always wanted. But the creature had different plans. It grabbed him with its hands and tore him in two pieces, top and bottom. He threw the top away and it fell a few meters away, letting out a terrible sound. It then slowly absorbed the bottom part. As I was trying to ease my own pain, I saw that the top part of Dr. Andrews was still smiling. Then the creature transformed once more. After a few seconds, it looked completely like him. Tears of joy ran from his eyes as the monstrosity he had created took his form and stared right back at him. But his happiness soon turned to terror as his beloved child began destabilizing. It started to shiver, like a disgusting piece of full jelly, then exploded. An eruption that disintegrated everything in its vicinity. The last thing I remember from that was Dr. Andrews' terrified scream. Then everything went silent. I crawled in pain, trying to find survivors. After some search, I figured out I was the only one. Then I remembered the laptop. I tried to reach the lab where I had hidden it, right under everyone's nose. While going there, I saw some of my samples. That were the first that bypassed the junk DNA's mutation rejection mechanism. They were all ruined. It took some time, but the organism's self-defense system did all the work. I guess God still cares for us after all. That thought made me smile. I managed to get the laptop. In my last moments, I managed to write this and document everything that happened here. I don't have much time. The bullet wasn't enough to instantly kill me, but I will not survive. This is an underground vicinity, and the alarm may have opened the individual room doors, but it locked all exits that led out of this place. Even if there's one, I've lost way too much blood by now. I guess this is my end. I write this because what happened here will be attempted again. This time, due to the pure luck, it failed. But I am sure that someone will try himself. Maybe it will be the same deranged group of people. Maybe another crazy cult. But please, be aware. Next time, I don't think we will be so lucky. That being said, I hope that no one ever discovers this place, and that my secret tomb will be forgotten forever, as I perish with it. I am Dr. Stephen Johansson. Good luck, humanity. We are going to need it.